Brothers and guests, I have the real honor to introduce our speaker and talk a little bit about the Distinguished Fiji Award. The Distinguished Fiji Award is presented each year to no more than 6 members of the fraternity who are deserving of this recognition for their service not only to Phi Gamma Delta, but to their special contribution to society at large. The brother we honor this evening at age 41 is noticeably younger than the typical Distinguished Fiji recipient. But that's just an indication of the prolific body of work he has assembled thus far in his career as a documentary filmmaker, humorist, television producer, and screenwriter. Now, very likely most of us first became aware of Morgan Spurlock in 2004 after the release of Super Size Me, the documentary in which he ate at McDonald's for 3 meals a day for 30 days. He sacrificed his arteries to change the way we think about the Big Mac, large fries, and fast food. Super Size Me was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Documentary. It was followed by the reality television series 30 Days, in which subjects spent 30 days immersed in a different, uncomfortable, and challenging lifestyle. Morgan himself spent 30 days living on minimum wage, living in a county jail in Virginia, and working in West Virginia in a coal mine. 2008 brought his second feature-length documentary, Where in the World is Osama bin Laden? And 2011 brought the release of The Greatest Movie Ever Sold. In between and since, there have been numerous other projects. He has taken the time during his campus speaking engagements to visit with Fiji brothers at those campuses, and he's also visited our international headquarters. Brothers and guests, it is my great pleasure to present our Distinguished Fiji Award this year to an NYU Fiji class of 1993, Morgan Spurlock. Very cool.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My mother is just very excited that someone called me distinguished. Thank you, brothers. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Mac. You are a handsome man. All my fellow penguins up here on the dais. It is an incredible honor for me to get to be here at the 164th Ekklesia to accept this award. Back in 1992, when I was doing my first collegiate keg stand, this was the moment I was thinking of. It's true. I gotta be honest, I never planned on joining a fraternity. When my brother went to the University of Tennessee, and he joined, you won't be clapping for this. When he joined a fraternity at Tennessee, which shall remain nameless, and during his pledge semester at the University of Tennessee, he proudly brought home a grade point average of 0.0. Which instilled in my parents such a love of the Greek system that by the time I went to college, I never even thought about becoming a part of the Greek system. I went to Southern Cal for 2 years. I transferred to NYU. Never thought in my mind of becoming a member of fraternity. And then as I moved into housing at Carlisle, that was a dormitory at NYU, I met my roommate, who was a guy who introduced himself to me by the name of Flounder. And he was not in a fraternity. That's what everybody called him. He goes, "Douche, call me Flounder." I was like, "All right, you're the Flounder." He's like, "We're gonna go out drinking Friday night. You should come meet me." And I was like, "Where are you gonna go?" And he's like, "I'm gonna go to this party down at Fiji." I was like, "I don't really want to go down there." And he's like, "No, you should just come." So I went to meet him because he's Flounder. When Flounder invites you, you go. So I went to meet the Flounder, and I had a beer with the Flounder, but after I had a beer with the Flounder, I had a beer with Chris Leonardi, I had a beer with Bo Flynn, I had a beer with Eric Joya, one of my soon-to-be pledge brothers. I had beers with guys who would ultimately end up becoming some of my dearest and oldest friends to this very day. They are people who have gone on. This group of people that I met in this house were unlike anything that I remembered of the fraternity system at the University of Southern California. Like when I went to USC, there was a very specific image of fraternities. And when I walked into this house, there were fat guys and skinny guys and black guys and white guys and smart guys and dumb guys. We had all the guys. And this, like, we represent all of that. It was a melting pot of idiocy at NYU. It was amazing. It was everything I dreamed of. And the more I got to know these guys, they literally represented everything that I loved. You know, they were people who were incredibly driven. They had real visions of what they wanted to accomplish in their lives. They were massively motivated people who went on to become New York City councilmen, you know, FBI agents, producers in Hollywood, and lots of lawyers. So many lawyers, which I got to tell you, when I first heard about the Ekklesia being here in New Orleans, I was like, oh my God, poor New Orleans. And I'm very proud that only one of you's been arrested. So, congratulations. Night's not over yet. But being from NYU with all those brothers that are lawyers, good thing to have. Good thing to know people who are lawyers. To be calling them like Saturday night, yo, I need a help. Not for college days alone, man. Yeah. Call me. Could be you tonight. I have some incredible memories of my time at NYU. I had some incredible friends that I got out of this experience. There were amazing parties. We won the Cheney Cup, and then there was an amazing party. We did some incredible charitable work, and then we had a party about it. But what I learned out of NYU and out of being at Fiji is that there's always a time to have fun, but what came out of my Fiji experience was that there's always a time to give back to other people. It made me an incredibly selfless individual. It really taught me the importance of my brothers. It taught me the importance of my community, the importance of my fellow man, and of course a good keg stand. And of course, the other thing that I really came out of this for me is that nothing really could prepare you when you get out of college for the career that's ahead of you. But I can honestly say that my time that I spent at Phi Gamma Delta did that. I can't tell you how many times in my 20s, as I was, eating ramen on my couch, that I would just recite persistence to myself as I was sitting there. Because at the end of the day, as people are telling you, no, you're not smart enough, you're not talented enough, I was like, man, nothing can take the place of persistence. I was tenacious. I banged on every door. I called everybody I could. And there was a time when, as I was struggling through my film career, the very first show we ever sold came out of my time at NYU. This is a good little thing to share. Because when you think, like, what does a fraternity really give you? Well, it gave me a show called I Bet You Will, which was the very first show we ever sold to MTV. And it was a show where, much as you guys will probably do later on tonight, or have done in the past, you bet your brothers to do stupid things for money. And it's usually not a lot of money. It's about the pride, Mac. That's what it's about. It's about the pride of saying you accomplished something that all those other jerks said you couldn't do. And so we had this idea that we sold to MTV. We started the show on the internet, sold it to this network, and around that time, 9/11 happened. And so production in New York City stopped. Yeah, it stopped. I couldn't believe it either. Shut down. Nothing was going on. And we're waiting for the network to make a decision about this show, and I'm trying to keep a company alive. I had seven different people working for me. So to keep my company going, I had credit cards. And so I started paying my employees with credit cards, started paying my bills with credit cards, started paying my rent with credit cards. And when you get to the point where you start paying credit cards with credit cards, it's always a bad sign. And after about a year and a half, I'd amassed about $250,000 in credit card debt. I was evicted from my apartment. I was living in a hammock, sleeping in a hammock in my office, but I still had an office. I'm laying in my hammock at night going, nothing can take the place of persistence. And finally the network, not long after that, the network decided to move forward with the show, and we did 53 episodes of this TV series. And during that time, I paid off about $50,000 worth of that credit card debt. And so I still owed about 200 grand when they canceled the show, and I had 50 grand in the bank. When they canceled the show, I said, well, to the people who worked at my company, I said, we could either take this $50,000 and I could pay off some more of that debt, or we could make a movie, because that's logical. And so I went home that Thanksgiving, and I was sitting on the couch when a news story came on about the two girls that were suing McDonald's, which I thought was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. I was like, these two girls are going to sue a fast food company that sold them food that they bought, that they ate, and then blame them for it. That's ludicrous. And then a spokesperson from McDonald's comes on the television and said, listen, you can't blame us for these girls getting sick. Our food is healthy. It's nutritious. It's good for you. And there I was on my mom's couch in a tryptophan haze, all cracked out on all the trappings of Thanksgiving, and I was like, well, if it's that good for me, And suddenly I became Yoda for some reason on the couch. Suddenly, I said, eat you will. I said, if it's that good for me, then surely I should be able to eat it for 30 days straight with no side effects. And I go, oh, I just got a great idea for a movie. And then I turned to my vegan girlfriend on the couch. She didn't approve of that very much. But we made this film, and literally it changed everything. And so when I look back at the time that I spent at Phi Gamma Delta, I'm eternally grateful for the friends that I had there, the transformation that it ignited in me, the courage that it gave me, and not to mention so many of my dearest friends. Through Fiji, I really believe that my dreams became vision and my hopes became action. I've often said that Phi Gamma Delta has made me a better man, but I don't think that's really wholly accurate, because what I truly believe that Phi Gamma Delta did was actually show me what a man should truly be. And that's what I hope the same thing happens for you. So I'd like to thank Mr. John Templeton McCarty, Samuel Beatty Wilson, James Elliott Jr., Ellis Bailey Gregg, Daniel Westbrook Crofts, and Naaman Fletcher, and their infinite wisdom for creating something that continues to instill pride and inspire men 164 years later. I want to thank all my New Epsilon brothers who ultimately made me who I am. And I want to thank all of you whose blood beats royal purple and who are the living image of what the future holds for all of us. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.